Sidebar is the official podcast of the Napa County District Attorney's Office. Hello everyone, this is Carlos Villatoro, the Public Affairs and Media Officer for the Napa County District Attorney's Office. And with me is one of our Deputy District Attorneys, Kecia Lind. Of course, this is the Sidebar Podcast, and we want to thank you for joining us today. So there is a special event taking place next month on the 19th and 20th over at Calistoga High School, and Kecia is going to be talking to us about that. Welcome, Kecia.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you very much for taking the time to join us today on the Sidebar Podcast.
Of course.
So, Kecia, I think I want to start off a little bit. Can you please tell us a little bit about the type of cases that you handle for the DA's office?
Sure. I'm a deputy DA here in Napa County, and my current assignment is I'm the lead prosecutor for our sexual assault unit. And what that means is that myself and a coworker of mine handle all of the cases that have to do with any allegations of sexual assault, either against adults or children. And we also prosecute cases involving physical abuse against children as well.
So it sounds like a very involved, intense caseload that you handle for us.
Unfortunately, we are very busy, yes.
Oh, absolutely. I can imagine. So tell us a little bit about the event that's taking place on the 19th and 20th over at Calistoga High School.
Yeah, this is actually going to be our third time doing this presentation. We've done it in Calistoga once before, and as well as American Canyon. And it's a really great presentation that was started and put together by a woman named Corey Jewel Jensen. She's a therapist that practices, or I think she's retired now, practiced in Oregon. And the majority of her practice focused on working with convicted sex offenders. Mm-hmm. And so she put on a presentation that myself and other members of the community attended to help educate the community about specifically child molestation. And the presentation really is meant to be an educational presentation for parents that have small children or children in the elementary school age. And it really helps provide tools and conversation starters on how they can not only talk to their kids to make sure that they're safe when they're not being watched by their parents all the time, and also things that the parents themselves can look out for and make sure that they're being vigilant and asking the right questions and taking the right steps to make sure that any person that they are putting their children in the care of, that they feel safe and confident in doing that.
So the workshop is entitled Protect Your Child, Advice from Child Molesters.
Yes.
Now, that's kind of a controversial title. However, there's a method to that madness.
Yes.
Right?
So the advice from child molesters, people get a little freaked out. They're like, is there going to be a bunch of child molesters there that are talking to us?
Right.
No, there are no child molesters who are going to be doing the presentation. But the work that Ms. Jensen focused on really took advice from these individuals who had been convicted of molesting children about how they gained access to the kids, things that they did to groom not only the children, but to groom their parents. And so it really is practical advice from these people who were convicted of doing these awful things to children about how they were easily able to do that and kind of trick the families and trick the kids. And so the idea behind it is to take that information from that they were providing to Ms. Jensen and to other therapists that did this work, and to really apply that and kind of flip it so the parents are aware of what it is that make these individuals' minds tick and what they're doing on a daily basis to try to gain access to kids.
And I've got to say, when we did these workshops over in American Canyon, it was eye-opening to see the type of tactics and the methods that they use to coerce children.
It is, and the story that Corey told that resonated with me a lot is that when she first started doing this work, and what gave her the idea to do this work is they were in a group therapy session and they were showing an educational video that they used to show kids about, this is what you do to protect yourself, and this is how, you always tell an adult if something like this happens to you. And a couple of the individuals that she was treating started kind of snickering and laughing as they're watching this video. And she's, asked them, like, what's so funny? Like, you find this humorous? And they're just like, well, everything you're telling these kids to do, they're no match for us. Like, this information that you're providing to these kids really isn't going to protect them. And she said, okay, you tell me then, what should I be telling these parents and what should I be telling these kids as far as what they should do? And so that's how that work got started. And it really kind of flipped the script and provided a lot more insightful and useful information than what was being used previously to educate families.
Absolutely. Now, what would you say the goal of the workshop is?
The goal of the workshop, from my perspective, is really to educate parents on things that they might not have thought about. It provides a lot of statistical information about the type of work that's being done in our county through law enforcement, through child welfare services, through all of the team members in our county that really work hard on a daily basis to try to combat this problem and hold people accountable who are hurting kids. So it provides some real pragmatic and practical advice on how to talk to your kids about it. Mm-hmm. And it also just teaches parents to be aware, that maybe your thought process that there's a sex offender that's on Megan's Law and I can look him up and keep my kids away from that person really is not where the problem lies. Most of the time when kids are being molested, it's by people that are close to them in their inner circle. It could be a family member or a coach or, someone that has really gained the trust of this child. So it is an eye-opening experience, and I think that the goal is to just let parents know that this is usually how this happens, and to just be aware and make sure that you're having an open dialogue with your children so they feel more comfortable talking to you if something kind of weird or something that doesn't quite feel right is happening at home.
Now, we know this is an issue that permeates throughout the state, throughout the country, mm-hmm. really, and internationally.
Yes.
Now, how big of an issue would you say is this in Napa, though?
Well, Napa, just like any other location, there are people that molest children, and this type of crime, as opposed to other types of crime that might be less intrusive, really is underreported. So the statistics show that the cases that kids are willing to talk about and tell an adult about and to kind of blow the whistle on this is happening to me is just really the tip of the iceberg of what's actually going mm-hmm. on. So unfortunately, by the time a case gets to my attention, there are an exponential amount of other cases that are never going to be reported to me and are never going to be reported to law enforcement that we're never going to know about. So it's hard to say how big of a problem it is, really statistically, but what I can say is that by the time a case gets to us, that child has really been through a lot usually, and it takes a lot of courage and a lot of trust that by the time they report this to an adult that they're going to be believed. And unfortunately, there's a lot of kids that just never get to that point.
Yeah, now you refresh my memory. One of the tools that the workshop teaches parents is how to talk to your children about this issue, to be supportive, to believe them, and to back them up. So that's one of the tidbits that I learned personally from the workshop.
Yeah,
absolutely. And just another thing, the whole locality of where you are, it's so much easier to access children with the video games and with social media. It's easier than ever to do that.
That's right. Yeah. It's a portion of the presentation does talk about how to make sure that your kids are aware that they shouldn't be giving out personal information online. It talks about how you can set up different safeguards for your children when they are playing video games online or watching YouTube or whatever other accounts that they may be using to really make sure that there are parental controls that you can control, but also just to make sure that your kids are aware that they shouldn't be accepting friend requests from people that they don't know, or accepting, Absolutely. Gifts that people want to buy them on whatever video game they're playing, because that can really open up the door for something else happening in the future.
Yeah, or sending inappropriate photos.
That's right.
Online, that always gets children in trouble, adults too, but children within this context.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Now, why would you say, Kecia, and we know that you are putting this on with different partners.
Yes.
The Napa Police Department is one. News is another. Is that correct?
Yes. Our presentation in Calistoga specifically, there are two, as you mentioned, one on the 19th and one on the 20th of September. The 19th is going to be an English presentation, and the 20th is going to be a Spanish presentation. And the individuals who are going to be presenting are myself, a school resource officer from the Calistoga Police Department, and advocates from SAVES, which is our sexual assault victim component that works with news, the victim advocates. They're going to be presenting both in English and in Spanish, and then a sheriff's detective from the Napa County Sheriff's Department is going to be presenting as well.
Excellent. So it's a team approach that the DA's office is taking in this matter and in many other matters that we handle here at the DA's office.
Yeah.
Last question.
Yes.
Why should parents care about this? Why? What do they get out of it? Why is it important for them to attend?
Well, I think just with anything, you want to educate yourself, right? And so one of the things that we often talk to our kids about is, say no to drugs. Don't do drugs. Make sure when you're in a car, you're wearing your seatbelt. Make sure when you're riding your bike, you have your helmet on. And this should just be another one of those safety talks that we have with our children. I know that the first time I attended this presentation from Ms. Jensen, I wanted to run out of the presentation and go grab my two young kids out of school and start talking to them about this, because you're just like, oh gosh, I haven't had this conversation. And I think that parents tend to shy away from it because it is an uncomfortable topic, and we don't know exactly what the right way is to talk to our kids about this. And the reason why I think it's so important for parents to attend these presentations is it gives you that framework, and it gives you the way to talk to your kids about this, so it doesn't become something that's as uncomfortable or nerve-wracking or that something that you might feel not that comfortable talking to your kids about. It really helps you do that. And there's an opportunity for questions, and the different community members that we have there to do the presentations really come from the team that works together all the time on these types of cases. So the questions that can be asked can be answered by law enforcement, myself. We will have somebody from Child Welfare Services there, as well as the advocates from News and Saves can be there to help with any sort of issues that may be concerning that they want to talk about privately as well.
So the content that will be discussed at these workshops is graphic, which means that children will not be permitted at this workshop. It's an adults only. However, if you are a parent and you can't attain childcare, we will be providing childcare.
That's right. There, members from Up Valley Family Center are going to be there to provide childcare. Thankfully, they're graciously doing that. So the presentation is from 6 to 7:30 each night, and the childcare will be provided during the duration of that time. So if you are thinking maybe you can't go because you don't have anybody to watch your kids, just bring them, and there'll be snacks there and people to help watch your kids, so you can attend uninterrupted.
Absolutely. So we strongly encourage parents in the Calistoga and surrounding areas to attend this workshop and learn what you can do to protect your child from child molesters. We will include all of the information to the workshop in the description of this video. Kecia, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more Sidebar Podcast.